Hi, everyone. Today we're joined by Dr. Zlatko Kostadinov, and he just matched into anesthesiology. So he's about to tell us his entire journey from application, interview season, and all the way up to match day. So let's get into it. Dr. Zlatko, can you tell us a bit about your application and how do you go about making your application geared towards anesthesiology?
Hello, everyone, and thanks for having me. Thanks to Match a Resident. So let's begin with some of my points in my application. I believe for anesthesiology, you really need to have a good, well-rounded application and just typed and everything in it must scream anesthesia. I mean, I applied only to anesthesia programs and all my experience are related to anesthesia. So if you want to pursue that field, you should do that. I decided to pursue USMLE journey early in my med school. I took step one during my 5th year of medical school. In Bulgaria, the medical school is 6 years total. And before graduation, I took step two. I passed OAT after graduation, and in September I was all set and ECFMG certified to apply. So how to tailor your application specifically to anesthesia? I believe it is really advisable to get LORs only from anesthesiologists. Your background should be really focused on that field, or either critical care or ICU management of the patients. And yeah, that is like an overall for the application to anesthesia.
Okay, awesome. And I know with COVID, it was really hard for a lot of international students to get US clinical experience. So were you able to get any US clinical experience, or were all your clinical experiences overseas?
Yeah, actually during the COVID times, it was really tough to get USCE, and I didn't do any. So actually, fun fact, I have never been to the States before. So
that's amazing.
Yeah. But if you're missing some part of your application, you should work hard on the other parts of it.
That's great advice. Yes. So do you think your personal statement had anything to do with, you getting your interviews?
Yeah, actually, I believe my personal statement was kind of good and tailored to anesthesia as well. And also I included some of my previous experiences in my life. I used to be a goalkeeper for more than 12 years. And I really do this similarity with being a goalkeeper, watching the pitch, and being an anesthesiologist, watching the patient and all the monitors. And actually, my interviewers really love that relation between the both things. And my advice is to include something personal that can be related to your specialty.
That's really smart to relate things in your normal life to medicine. And I know a lot of interviewers and program directors, they really do ask you about your life outside of medicine and, what your interests are besides medicine. So let's talk about how many programs you applied to and how many interviews you got in the first place.
I applied broadly. I applied to 150 programs total. 110 were in anesthesia and around 14 transitional year. So because, as you know, anesthesia, there are some advanced program that required transitional or preliminary year. I got 5 interviews total, 4 of which were in anesthesia and 1 in transitional year.
Awesome. That's great. And how do you feel your interviews went, and what were some common questions that you came across?
With the interviews being virtual this year, again, it was let's say it was easier for the IMGs, which are living abroad, but it was more difficult to make that relationship with your interviewers. But actually, I got the most common question I could say. So let's say they ask me, what are your future plans? How do you see yourself in 5 years? What are your strengths and weaknesses? Why anesthesia? Are you planning to go back to your country after finishing residency here? These are the most standard questions, I could say.
Any strange questions that you remember?
I remember one question. It was not so strange, but it was anesthesia related. The interviewer asked me, how do you induct patients into anesthesia in your country?
Oh.
So I started explaining, so we're giving opioid and propofol and relaxant and so on.
Wow. So they really, they kind of put you on the spot there. But I guess you've had the experience, so you knew straight away, okay, this is how I'm going to answer. That's great. And did you feel prepared for your interviews? Was there a specific method that you used to prepare for your interviews?
I was Googling some stuff, watching YouTube videos, watching your previous success story interviews from the other candidates. They were really, really helpful. And I typed many questions and tried to answer them in front of the mirror with my friends. And it was really helpful. And you should have something in mind when going to that interview. So you must be prepared for these most common questions. Of course, there will be questions that you cannot be prepared, but for the most standard ones, you should have something in mind.
And after your interviews, did you send out any letters of interest or follow up afterwards? And were you able to get any responses from program directors or program coordinators?
Yeah, actually, I think this is a really important step. After each interview, I advise the applicants to send thank you letters to all of your interviewers. I believe it's a must. And if you really want to match in that program, or you believe this will be your top choice, I really advise again to reach out to program coordinators or program directors on every occasion that this is possible. For example, for Christmas, for New Year, and after that, maybe during February, right before, or even during January, right before submitting the rank order list, I think you should send a letter of interest to your top choice, saying that they are your top choice.
Okay, yeah, that's great advice. When you were ranking, what was the most important factor for you, and how did you rank? Was it according to location, or some people just rank according to the vibe they get from the program? How did you sort your programs?
Yeah, maybe there are a few things when ranking the programs. For me, it was that I need the program to be a university program, and also I want the program to be kind of IMG friendly and to have more chances, I believe. And also the city was a big part. I matched at SUNY Downstate in New York, so the New York is a great city, I believe, to live. And also, of course, the gut feeling and the vibe from the interview and from the people that you were speaking with. This is really important. And the advice I could give to the applicants is like, trust your gut, and you should see yourself being there.
Yeah, that's great. Congrats on matching in New York. That's awesome. And I know, New York itself is full of international professionals, so it's a great city to start out in. And then I guess the next question is, what has been your greatest challenge throughout your process of applying, writing USMLE, the application process, interviewing? What has been your greatest challenge and something that you think was amazing that you overcame?
Yeah, great question. I think the biggest challenge for me were during the interview process, because for the steps and for the other parts of the application, I mean, for the most part, it depends on you. I mean, you can manage your time, you can prepare well, but during the interviews, you're just put on the spot and you need to improvise, you need to show yourself in your best light. And this is really, how to say, intimidating process. And it's a little bit strange, especially for non-US IMG, which are not that familiar with the US system and the whole interview process. And this was the most challenging time for me, I believe.
What was one of the most memorable parts of this entire experience for you?
The most memorable, it will be maybe 3 or 4 moments. It was when I received my step 1 score, my my step 2 score, and the last one was on the 40th of March this year, the match day on Monday, when I got this email from the NRMP. It was just so relieving, and these are emotions that maybe I would never forget.
Yeah, that's amazing. Yeah, once you see that email, it feels like everything was worth it. All the stress, all the, you know, tension, anxiety, it's all worth it for that one email. What's your best advice for future applicants? You know, you can...
Overall, the best advice for the applicants will be to be organized, to be motivated, and just to do what you need to do at that time. You know, as there is a saying that the USMLE journey is a marathon, not a sprint. So you need to be organized during the whole process, and pursuing your dreams, and never give up, I could say. And specifically for the anesthesia, as I mentioned earlier in the interview, my advice is to make your application really anesthesia specific. LORs from anesthesiologists, personal statements for this specialty, and really the background early in your medical school years should scream anesthesia overall. Because I believe the program directors from the anesthesia programs, they really give a holistic approach to your to the applications. So you need to really want to work in that field.
Yes, that makes sense. And I think also one thing that you showed was commitment to the specialty, since you only applied to anesthesia and you knew what you wanted from day one. So that obviously came across during your interviews, that you were really committed to anesthesia, and that's what they want. What are you most looking forward to when you move to the US? What's like the first thing you're gonna try, or what are you first gonna like experience?
Yeah, I really can't wait to go to the New York, and I'm really looking forward for the 1st of July, when I will go to the hospital, meet all the interns, and just meeting the new people, feeling the spirit of the program during these first weeks, and of course to experience the New York City to the fullest.
That's amazing. And what are your future goals in medicine and after residency?
Future goals. At first, I want to finish residency, and to do some research during that time. And also, I'm really passionate about teaching. I would love to work with the students during that time. After that, for now, I can say that I want to pursue fellowship in cardiac anesthesia, if that would be possible, and I will go for that. And after that, I want to maybe working in the US healthcare system for a longer period.
So is there any way people can follow along on your journey, and any way they can see how you're doing throughout residency?
Yeah, sure. The applicants and other people can follow me on my Instagram page, which is Zlatko Kostadinov, and to go with me to that journey in anesthesia.
Awesome. Thank you so much for your time, and good luck. This is a really exciting time, and I know you're going to do amazing things in New York.
And the last words for the applicants would be hard work pays off.